Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Arcane Review, Episode 1. Sorry, I should say this is Video 1 because there's episodes in that. I don't want to confuse
Act
you.
1.
Well, it's our first video of our review show, and we're reviewing Act 1.
That makes it sound like this is going to extend beyond Arcane. Is that true?
Maybe it will. I don't know. We're going to do 3 videos, one for each arc. This is the first video. And the way we're doing this is spoiler free, this section. But in a little bit, we'll let you know. I'll put it as a timestamp. It becomes spoiler-tastic. So if you haven't watched the show, you're trying to decide if you want to do it. You can talk to Mark and I. Watch the video of Mark and I talking, and that's how we'll handle it.
Yeah.
Okay. So the very beginning, I want to know first off, what were your expectations going into this?
So the funny thing is, this has been bubbling at Riot for a long time, and I've had friends at Riot, and so I've heard about it, and I don't think it's always been like the smoothest project from what I understood. And so on the one hand, I knew they put a lot of money and time into it, and it's probably going to be decent for that reason. But I also was just like, how good can it really be? And I think that was my biggest hesitation, was like, it'll be fine, but will it be great? I didn't think that would be the case. I thought I'd have fun with it no matter what.
Well, and they've talked a lot about how this took 6 years to make.
Yeah.
Which, like, I don't even like huge, massive movies don't take 6 years to make.
Lord of the
normally.
Rings, like, how long did that take to make? They shot all 3 movies at the same time.
Yeah,
it was
I
like
think
18 months of production, and
yes.
then like some pre and post. But like, you know, you're talking like that levels when you're talking about Arcane right now.
Yes, and I think part of the reason was because they worked with Fortiche, I think is the name of the French studio that does all their cinematics and stuff, and they had not done. This is what I read online.
They hadn't done feature length
yes.
things.
Yes, and obviously Riot had not done feature length things. And I also want to do a video at some point in time. I'm hoping to get an interview with them, but if not, I will just make the video. The co-creators Alex E and Christian Link, I've known both of them since like 2011. They not had experience doing this stuff.
They're not like big time showrunners that then got brought over.
Yes. I don't want to spoil the video I want to make, but yeah, they are just from internal at Riot, which does not mean
bad,
because very clearly I think that was actually part of the reason why the show, as we will talk about in a second, I think we both liked. But okay, so your expectations were like, you'd heard good things, but you were like, it can't be that great.
Yeah, I mean, just video game adaptations in general, you have like an upper limit that you think they can hit usually.
I mean, usually the upper limit is like 1 out of 10 or something.
That's the average. The upper limit is like a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
But this, I think, went far and away above my expectations, and it sounds like most people's expectations.
Yeah. Okay, so for me, and I think I've referenced this on Hotline League before, but because I've followed the game for so long, played in beta, etc., I used to be really excited and investing into this world. I mean, people that watch our content will know that we're
more esports oriented.
We're more esports oriented, but you and I both love big worlds, big world building, all that stuff. We love fantasy novels. We have a fantasy channel. I have a fantasy channel.
It's a dead fantasy channel.
No, I updated it. Okay. Anyway, so I like this stuff. However, over the years, Riot has retconned so much stuff. They've restarted, rebooted, fired, hired, and all that stuff to the point where I just, like 5 or 6 years ago, checked out.
Yep, same.
I was like, I like the cinematic. That didn't mean I didn't love the cinematics. I didn't like the characters. I thought all that stuff was pretty cool, but I refused to like care or follow the narrative.
Like Rise is running around getting rune stones and building an Infinity Gauntlet underground. I'm like, I don't really know what's going on, and I don't care anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So there's so many times because it started to get to a point, because all the characters are so intermingled, where like they would change somebody's story, and then now it wouldn't make sense to me the way it fits in, and it started to become like a huge issue.
Yeah, like these two are rivals, but then they redo this guy's backstory, and then you're like, well, what happened to her? And you just get like kind of lost in this web. It felt like.
So I think in the past I might have even said like, oh, I'm really excited for Arcane. I think I was excited for the event aspect of this, like this happening, but I was not. I purposely avoided almost every trailer. I did not watch most of the tease stuff. You and I joke all the time about my spoilers, but I tried to go in with zero expectations, because I had either 0 to low expectations for what this would be, because I was just like so burned out on Riot stuff.
I mean, for the most part, on that aspect of the lore, I still knew enough about the characters to largely know what was going to happen in the show, or at least like from beginning to end where they needed to end up. I don't know all the beats in between kind of thing. But you know, like you see one character and you're like, well, I know that's not going to stay that way kind of thing. So like I definitely had, for me, there's no point to avoid trailers because I was like, I already know Jinx and Vi and like Jace and Victor and like all these people that are kind of in the show.
I think when I say like, it wasn't even the narrative necessarily that I was avoiding in the same way I normally try to avoid narrative spoilers. It was like trying to avoid any expectation. You know, like I had seen some of the.
You didn't want to be disappointed.
I just wanted to go in with like a completely clean palette. And I didn't want to, because I even knew that I might even start letting myself get like preemptively annoyed by it or something.
All right. Let's start getting into the review. This is enough about our expectations.
Okay, so still no spoilers. I guess we should say how we saw it.
So we went to the premiere, the official Riot Games premiere at the campus, which was dope. The actual premiere was like fine. You know, you walk in, there's like a red carpet thing. I got to walk it for some reason. I had like a badge they gave me.
I did not.
I don't know why I got the badge, but it allowed me to walk the red carpet. And I'm going down. We showed up early, so no one was there yet. There was a host of photographers just waiting for famous people like the Haley Steinfelds and the Mike Shinodas and all the other people that showed up. And my dumbass is just walking down that like, I don't know what I'm doing here. And I started talking to Ovly, the offline TV people there. I said hi to them, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go get free drinks and food. And then that was kind of the experience. Where we watched it was a giant dome thing with massive screens, massive speakers. You felt like every noise. And then the dome, they actually projected extra effects onto it. And so like when it was raining outside in the show, they would have like rain droplets like running down the thing. And they just had tons of extra effects, which did increase the mood a lot for me.
So, and we should clarify, like, it's not like we were watching the show on the dome.
Right.
There was screen was in front of us the same way you'd imagine a theater. But you were enclosed in this circular thing, and so they were able to, as for instance, the characters going down an elevator, the lighting on the roof changes, and it's very immersive. So I thought that was really cool. They don't have that; they only did it for the premiere. So
I don't think you can get this at home.
Yeah.
so like, I think we might have had a little bit different of an experience. Plus, like, just how insane like an explosion sounded in that was.
Though I am excited, I will admit I'm a little excited to see what it looks like on like a nice OLED screen because projectors, unless you're in like
you're
a
sitting
crazy
down,
theater,
kind of like looking up like this kind of thing. Yeah.
So let's get into still no spoilers, but our thoughts on the show. I will say, here's my first thing. This is not the second coming of Jesus, okay? I've seen some comments that are like, this is the best animated thing I have ever seen. This is like the best television I've seen in years and years and years. And I'm like, I don't want people to get over excited because I don't think it's that.
All right, Grandpa.
Well, I want to manage expectations because I do think some people are so excited about it that they are like, the best thing I've ever seen, you know, and I don't want people to just
I don't think it's like literally the best thing I've ever seen, but I would say it's pretty damn near perfect. Like, there's really not many things I can nitpick about it. There will be some because I'm a negative Nancy, but like, honestly, this is one of the best animated shows I've seen in a long time. Like, I love anime. There's a lot of anime series I'd put above this, but like, you're getting into that category where you're like, all right, Avatar: The Last Airbender, some anime series, you know, some early morning cartoon things from back in the day, and then like, where does Arcane actually does, I think, push into that echelon more than, oh, it's just another like.
Oh, agreed completely. I do agree it pushes into that, but I think
it's only 3 episodes in, so it's a little
we're only 3 episodes in, and I just do want like. I think it builds over the course of those episodes to like. I watched the first episode. I was like, that was pretty good, and I think the second episode is really where it goes into its own.
Yeah.
We should say, by the way, for those that don't know, we referenced at the start, but they're releasing. It's 9 episodes total. They're releasing it over the course of 3 acts, so 3 episodes each. And as we record this, only the first act is out. But so I agree that it is like really good. It is up there, but I just don't want people thinking like this is the best thing that's on TV, you know, in the last couple of years, because I think there's some other stuff that.
So I would say, like, animation-wise, it's one of the best animations ever done, and in a very unique style.
Yes. Let's talk about the animation style. You go for it.
Yeah, it's like a very painterly look.
Yeah,
and
it's very distinctive.
Yeah, it's not anime. It's not trying to be anime, because like, what makes anime so cool is how stylized and over the top everything is. Like, I'm a huge anime fan. and like you will get shots that just don't make any sense in anime but look cool, and you're like, that's awesome. This is not trying to do that. Like everything is still grounded while being in this painterly world. Yes, it's fantastical, but it's never like over the top extra in the way an anime would be. And that's why I think it should not be compared that way.
Yes.
It's just a very mature animated show, and there really aren't many of those to compare yourself to. So you kind of fall into the anime comparison, especially given we all play games, and that's a natural comparison. But it really does stand on its own in that way, where there's not many animated but serious things.
Yes. Yeah. Somebody was. I saw some headline that was something. Maybe it was like Polygon or somebody that was saying like this is continuing the trend of like really great adult animation, you know what I mean, or shows that are great for adults that are animated, because this is not like a family friendly show.
No, I was surprised how dark it got at points,
Yes.
which I love dark, so I was
Yes.
like, oh, we're going there, okay.
Yes. But for me on the animation front, I thought that it was it's hard for me because I don't watch as much animation stuff as you, but I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, like in the world of animation, as far as I know, you have like early morning cartoons, which are like, okay, that's not the same thing. You have anime, which is like closer, but again, more stylized, lower budget. A lot of the times, like animes are cranking, like those people are super overworked. You know, it's not like they have 6 years to build their thing. So I don't want to make it sound like a one-to-one comparison, but it's obviously a very different style. And then like beyond that, you're looking at 3D animation is probably the only thing, but a lot of those are still targeted at kids. So like, that's why I have a hard time.
Pixar was making only family stuff.
Right. Like I really have a hard time being like, oh, it's like this. Cause I don't know what you would point to.
I mean, the only thing that is, it is bizarre to say this, right? But like BoJack Horseman comes to mind, and that like obviously completely different tone.
There are cartoons which you can find, but a lot of those are comedy / like dark comedy.
Yes.
Whereas this is not it's just a story. Like it's just a good story.
Right.
A fantasy story.
And the animation is definitely much closer, I think, to like a 3D style of Pixar animation type stuff than it is like sort of the
Goofy,
flat look that you get from
it's very
BoJack
immersive.
Okay, well, really quickly, let's just give our quick thoughts on it, and then we'll do the spoiler stuff. So, I really, really like it so far. I think it's phenomenal. I even if I'm saying it's not, the second coming of Jesus, I think it is so good. And I've spent a ton of time trying to recommend it to people that are outside of the League of Legends world, and even in some cases outside of the gaming world, because I really hope that it breaks out. And so, if people are trying to decide if they want to watch it, my recommendation is go watch it and tell other people to watch it, because I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I got teary-eyed a couple times watching it. I was watching Ashley, my girlfriend, was with me. She has never done anything League really. She has no idea what's going on in League, and she could follow it fine. She also got teary-eyed a couple times at the end. Like episode 3 hits hard.
Yeah.
And so I would say it's incredible. Anyone can watch it. It is a little bit mature, but like the violence and darkness is more like thematic darkness than it is like on screen. Like no one gets decapitated. No one's getting like, you see some death and some injuries.
Like, I would say PG-13.
I would say PG-13, and even like some PG-13s go further.
Yes, yeah, exactly, right. And so I recommend people watch it. Okay, spoiler time.
Okay.
Let's start a little bit with the characters and because we talked a little bit about the animation. I didn't want to go into spoilers too much, but on the animation side, I have been incredibly impressed with how they were able to that far as an actor or actress whenever they are in something where you literally have like
I got some children death later on,
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, so on the point about Jinx and that's one of the times where people were like, seemed a little quick, of how quickly Jinx turned. And like, again, I get that she was just abandoned by the only person. She just killed her dad, her father figure. Finds out she killed her friends too. Like, she's in a very mentally unstable spot. I understand it's justified, but I did feel like if my only criticism of the show is that some points felt rushed because there was so much they had to do through the first act.
Yeah.
That like, I don't know how you could have given Jinx a little bit more time to breathe between being abandoned and instantly hugging him. Like if she ran through the sewers for a little bit and bumped, I don't know exactly what you would do, but a little bit more.
I was actually okay. I was actually okay with that because I assume that like she's not converted yet, right?
No,
like,
and I think people think she's Jinx already, where clearly she's just found a new person to latch on to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and so I think I had no issue with that. Like she just lost all of her support system, and now she just immediately clings to the first thing
And
that she sees.
people
which
point
is
this
the
out.
thing.
And I didn't realize it at first, but I don't think she's ever seen Silco. Like, I don't think she knows that he's a villain the way we do.
Yes.
So I think that's a big part of it too.
Yes.
Yeah.
The only major criticism I have of the show, because again, there's a couple nitpicking things, but this is the one where I did feel like it was very jarring. As much as I love that final sequence, it was so weird to go from life and death situation where, oh my god, they're trying to escape, oh my god, like everything's coming to a head, to here's like Heimerdinger cracking jokes about Victor and Jace flying around in this dome. Like, it was really jarring, the tone there, right? Because in my opinion, it almost would have been better if it had been switching between, like, if they had resolved the Victor Jace stuff after the powder stuff, which I guess would have been tough because you kind of want to end it on that really dramatic note.
Yeah.
But like, it's really weird because they had not resolved the tension that was going on in that scene, and it was like incredibly high stakes. And then you've got like Victor and Jace floating. It feels really weird.
I think the tone point makes sense. I think from a narrative structure point, it makes sense. Both storylines are climaxing at the same time. They're not really related, so there's a little bit of a disconnect there because whether or not Victor and Jace succeed has nothing to do with what happens in the other part.
Yes.
But I still think like narratively both things are climaxing. You cut between the two of them, fine. But to your point, like Jace and Victor cracking jokes makes it a little jarring tonally, but I think at least structurally I didn't have a problem with it.
I bet you that's one of those things where perhaps that was like there was no great option for how to deal with it. Once
either you resolve all but before and then you just don't see
or
them.
You've got Vi crying and Jinx crying and then those guys laughing or something, but it was really weird whenever they're just like floating around and everything's happy-go-lucky and then you're switching to this like incredibly dark scene on the other side.
Yeah.
That was the only part where I was like, I don't think this is good.
So my only complaints are mostly, like I said, nitpicks about pacing, especially in the second episode when they started expanding the world more. Yeah. It felt like they kind of, I understand that like the show was already pushing how long an episode should be in like typical half-hour blocks.
Right.
So it's not like a significant thing, but like Silco called the enforcer guy to come, you know?
Yes.
And he's like, I've got a proposition for you. And you don't really learn what the proposition is. And then like later the enforcers are coming for Vi, but then Vander steps in and then they're taking Vander away, but then Silco shows up and kills all the enforcers.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, that's not what the deal was. And I'm like, what was the fucking deal? Like, I don't know why you needed to do that, Silco. If you have a cracked out like insane monster that you can just sick on people, why did you need the enforcers to like lure him out, I guess? But like, I think you could defend it. I'm not saying it's a plot hole or anything, but like because they're painting with such broad strokes, I don't really know what some of these motivating factors were. And same with like some of the Jace stuff about like why is this lady trying to help Jace? Like how does it exactly
that made sense to me because she seemed like she was trying to figure out how to like make herself.
She just wants to be more powerful. I get it, but there's a couple of those world building things like magic is kind of locked away sort of its evil by, and then you know like they show like the Heimerdinger flashback of the Rune Wars, but they don't say what it is, and like I know what that is, and you can tell like it gets the narrative point across about like magic did bad things in the past. Great.
Right. The season is almost here, which means that there's great shopping opportunities over at Alienware. That's right, they've got their new R13 and R14s that are out, and guess what? I just want to ask you that whenever Black Friday comes up, or Cyber Monday, or Deals Tuesday, or Awesome Wednesday, whatever, I don't know, that you check out alienware.com/Travis and then click over on the banner up at the top to head to their Black Friday deal, their holiday deals, because like maybe you're going to purchase something, and this would be a great way for you to support the channel, is purchase something and then you like tweet at them and let them know you did it because of me, and then I feel good about myself, and I can finally tell my family that they can be proud